Hello, hello, hello. Here we go. We're going live. So exciting. Just waiting for everybody to populate. As people are coming into the stream, as people are coming in, go ahead and pop in where you're from. Super excited to see all the different people around the world representing. Where are we at? Where are we at? There we go. There we go. I see everybody on YouTube coming in. Ooh, Brian Hills. Can't wait for this wisdom and life changing. I'm going to fill in a noun at the end there. Experience. Wisdom and life changing experience. Very excited to see you, Brian. Hi, Chrissy. Good to see you as well. I'm going to pop around different platforms and see where everyone's coming in from. There we go. Everyone's coming into the Zoom room now. Everybody, as you're coming in, where are you coming in from? Where from all over the world are people coming in from? Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. We have hosts and panelists in the chat. Got people raising their hand. Can everybody see me? Got Kathy from Palm Springs, California. Oh, Brian's coming in from New York. Lori coming in from Boston. The universe brought me here from Awesome. Their name is Awesome. Hearts for Moon is from Kosovo. Got South Africa representing, Montgomery County, Maryland. Incredible. Got people raising their hands already. This is very exciting. I'm not seeing anybody in the chat. Do we have people? Do we have a reason that maybe people aren't able to type in the Zoom chat if tech knows? It's disabled. Okay, the chat's disabled. Oh, there it goes. Now it's working. Yay, Zoom chat is there. Amazing. Welcome, everybody. Well, we've got a really, really exciting webinar for you today. We're going to get through quite a bit of stuff. So if you've heard anything about Rapid Transformational Coaching, it's a new, very exciting program that we've been developing. And there are some very key reasons why we've developed it. Over at Rapid Transformational Therapy, we've got 8 years now of teaching experience on delivering extremely high quality, high class education that is really meant to replace a lot of modern education systems and really give people a career path where from start to finish to the end of the program, you can really go out into the world as a successful entrepreneur and understand how to build your business if that's what you want. And some people come in it just for personal transformation. And we're going to go through all of those different options today, but we're here to welcome Kira, who is the head coach for RTC that teaches the program, that helped build the program. And she's going to answer all of our amazing questions today. And I have quite the list for her to go through because this program is so comprehensive and there are so many pieces and components to it. I'm just super excited to hear from the woman herself, Kira, on today's call. You guys, some of you maybe heard from Sean Peer a couple of weeks ago when we went through RTT. And so we're going to go through this incredible journey of what it's like to be in the Rapid Transformational Coaching Program and everything that entails. And at the end, I've got some very special surprises for you if you're here. So stay tuned. Without any further ado, welcome Kira, head coach of RTC, the person who helped put it all together. I believe you're seeing in the chat, Kira, we've got people from all over the world. We've got Kenya representing. We've even got someone from Texas. We got someone from Texas that's coming in here right now. So we're going to get through the whole program. But for starters, Kira, tell me a bit about your history and why you are here helping teach this program and helping create it.
Oh, thank you for that amazing introduction and welcome to everyone who's here today. It's so exciting seeing this many people interested in coaching, whether you're already a coach or you aspire to be one, or you just like to learn more about how coaching could impact you. So keep all your questions and comments coming in the chat. So my name's Kira. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm from the UK originally. I'm a London lady. I've got roots in Yorkshire and in Africa. And like many people in the RTT or RTC community, I've always had a passion for helping people, but I didn't always know what that would look like. And I started my career actually somewhere quite different. I started working in politics. I worked for the UK government. I worked on lots of different policy areas from education to trade, technology, business. And I found that I learned so much about how things really work, about how government works, about the limitations and what's possible there. And a lot of people in that kind of line of work, you're really trying to make the world a better place, but you might find that there are limitations in what you can actually do. If you're working through a political system, processes, corporate systems, whatever the structures are, when they get past a certain size, sometimes it's hard to know if you're really making the difference that you entered that career to make. But that career gave me so many gifts, and one of them was the opportunity to train in coaching. So I actually started my coaching career as an in-house coach in the government. And it became the part of my job that I enjoyed the most, because it was the part of my job where I could be the most honest, and the part of my job where I actually got to work one-on-one and see real time, am I making a difference? Did that hour make a difference in someone's life? And so that's really what got me started with coaching. And I'm so grateful for all the things I've learned in my previous career that I'm now able to channel into coaching in general.
Incredible. Wow. I'm learning so much about you as well right here. So then tell me, we've got RTT as a company, right? And we've been doing this for so long, so well. And now we've got RTC. And why did we, from your perspective, decide to build RTC? Why did we go into the realm of coaching?
Yeah, great question. And I might answer it slightly backwards if that's okay. So,
Mhm.
like a few coaches who've trained to become RTT therapists. So you'll find now that RTC is becoming more established. There are people who've trained in RTT or other therapies who are also training in RTC. But for some of us, we did it the other way around. So I was already a coach, as I said, but I felt that there were certain emotional areas that would come up even in career coaching, business coaching, professional development coaching, where childhood conditioning, emotions, conflicting beliefs would come to the surface. And I found many traditional coaching trainings, and I'd done several. I'd done systemic coaching, I'd done life coaching, career coaching, executive coaching. I didn't always feel like I had the tools to venture into those more emotional areas, which sometimes touch on a therapeutic approach. And so there were many of us in the coaching space actually who were interested in integrating therapeutic tools into coaching, but in a way that was safe and not treading on the toes of psychotherapy. So I think there was already a movement of people who were interested in using therapeutic tools when appropriate in non-therapeutic settings. And so that's what I was seeking to do in my coaching practice. And so for me, I needed to learn RTT. That was one of the things that I did to really take my coaching to the next level. And so what RTC is, it's the kind of coaching that I wish existed when I started my coaching journey years ago, because it's the kind of coaching that actually works for most situations. It gives you the strategy, the goal setting, the future focus, the forward planning and accountability of traditional coaching. And it also gives you Marisa's incredible rules of the mind theory and the therapeutic tools, some of which are similar to RTT, some of which are distinct to the RTC model. It gives you those two things together so that you can be a much more nimble, agile coach. You can work with the strategy, with the cerebral, with the conscious mind, with the goal setting, but you can also help people with the emotional side of their blocks, where just giving them accountability and setting a goal wouldn't be enough because there's an inner conflict. There's some emotions that need to be worked through, witnessed, and moved through so that person can make progress.
Absolutely incredible. Are you sure you're not reading off a teleprompter of some kind? Did you pre-write all these answers?
No, but I will say one thing about RTC is, and about coaching in general, is that because it's an improvisational discipline, it means you have to live in the moment. And so that's one of the things I think is actually a little bit different from RTT, is that there's no script. And so whether you're someone who's naturally good at thinking or speaking on their feet, or someone who struggles with that, RTC will force you to get good at speaking confidently in the moment, because you have to live in the present to become a coach. So I think probably my coaching experience helps me be more present when I'm speaking in the moment. At least I hope that's the case.
Absolutely incredible. I am stunned. So then tell me, before we get into the program itself, who are the types of people that you see absolutely blissfully succeeding through the program in the beta launches that we've done up until this point? So what are the types of people? What are their lives like before they come and do RTC?
Really diverse. And one thing I notice about Marisa Peer's community in general, actually, whether it's RTT or RTC, is it's often people who have lived in a country other than the one that they were born in. I don't know why, but there's something about the international mindset, looking at new experiences or experiencing things from a different perspective, whether that's a different city or even a new country, that's common. So we have a very international base of people who go through our programs, which I love. It's also really important for coaching as well. We can be sometimes at risk of bringing our own cultural lens to our coaching. And so when you're in a very diverse community like the one we have, whether it's the diversity amongst our trainers or amongst our students, it forces you to actually have your lens challenged. But when I think about the kind of people we have people as young as 18 or in their 70s, so different ages. It doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. What I think makes people most successful on this program is it's that they're committed to serving others. And they're also the sort of people who maybe have spent time thinking, why are things like that? Why is the world like that? Why is it that some people who are trying their hardest are not getting the results? So there are people who are interested in problem solving. They're not interested in just thinking about the problem. They want to actually solve it. And they also have that mix of empathy. So it's that mix of problem solving and empathy that I think attracts people to RTC. And that willingness to put the client first, because one of the things that distinguishes an RTC coach, or a great coach, in my opinion, from someone who's doing a little bit of coaching on the side, is that it's not about you, it's about your client. And so you have to be able to put your ego aside.
Where do I sign up? How do I get started? Now, okay, so let's get into the program itself. So these are the types of people that do it. From the moment that someone signs up, what are the first things that they're going to experience? So, and to clarify, RTC, and we're going to talk about this later and why this is so important, but RTC is a cohorted program, which means that we start at a set date all together as a group. And I say we because yours truly is actually signed up to participate in this cohort. So for those of you here that do sign up and participate in this September group that's getting ready to launch, I will be with you on that whole journey. So it's going to be very interesting. So for all of us, when we sign up, what's the first thing that's going to happen? So before the program starts, are there going to be any materials that come our way? What can we expect?
Yeah, great question. So what I love about RTC is that we give you lots of theory, we give you resources, we don't let you get bogged down with that. So when you sign up, you'll have some basic housekeeping modules. So there's an orientation module which shows you how to navigate the program. There's also a welcoming and housekeeping module which shows you how the course is structured, some basic things about safety, mental health, data protection, etc. So the real baselines to make sure that you're working safely. But then we really hit you with coaching proper in the first module. So it's really about the foundations of coaching skills and the RTC model in particular. The reason why we start there with what is the RTC model is because we want you to be able to come to your first virtual classroom really active and engaged. So there are 9 modules in total, but the early modules focus on the RTC coaching model. What is the philosophy behind RTC? We have a 6 I's process, which is really the 6 pillars of coaching that you need to master to be an effective rapid transformational coach. And we also look at the communication skills that you're going to need. So coaching is all about asking the right questions and being able to listen effectively to the answer. So you need to be able to do both. And so that's why our first 2 modules are about the coaching framework, but also about the communication skills you need. So ideally, by the time you get to your first virtual classroom, you will have completed, or we've worked through module 1, maybe even module 2. However, we've got some people who start the program a few weeks before the first virtual classroom, some people who start a little bit closer to that time. It doesn't matter because we've designed our virtual classrooms in such a way that no prior knowledge is assumed. So we really have a sort of monkey see, monkey do approach to our virtual classrooms, because we don't want people to think, oh, I really, really wanted to finish my module before I got in the classroom, but life happened, I couldn't, I'm only halfway through. It doesn't matter, just come. We give you everything you need on the virtual classroom, and we start from where you need to start, which is how do you start a coaching relationship. So that's really what's going to be happening in your first few weeks. You'll get your first few modules, ideally work through them, and then set yourself up to get the best experience at the virtual classroom.
And how long is the program on average for people altogether? And how do we think about sort of breaking the program up into segments, if at all? So I know you've said we've got the 9 modules throughout the whole thing, which is the digital portion of it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's almost sort of 2 tracks. There's the live intensive phase, which is this cohort. And I really love that because it gives a community. You don't get lost in this program because everyone is moving through the live training together. That's where you form your contacts, your connections, your friends, your practice partners, and you see others, how they grow over those weeks, but also you get reflected back to you. Wow, you're speaking with more confidence at virtual classroom 3 than virtual classroom 1. You're asking different questions in week 4 than you were in week 2. So the cohort is really, I'd say, a real benefit to the experience. But I'd say on average, it takes people, I'd say 6 months from first virtual classroom to graduation. In that time, there's a 3-month intensive phase where you've got the virtual classrooms, you've got the group development sessions, which is like a masterclass of how to tackle quite a meaty coaching problem. You also have live webinars with Marisa, which is amazing because you get to see her 30 years of client experience applied to coaching. You get monthly drop-ins with the coaching team, which is myself and others. We have an amazing team of coaches who I can't wait for you to meet. And we also have practice circles. So like I said, it's monkey see, monkey do. You'll have 1 week, you'll have a virtual classroom, and then that same week you get to practice the skills you learnt in a quick fire way, low pressure, but a lot of fun with your peers in a practice circle. So a typical week in your virtual classroom or the intensive phase would be a virtual classroom and then a practice circle, or a group development session and a practice circle. So that's really what's happening for the first 12 weeks. After the first 12 weeks of live training, it's more self-paced. So some people have been working through the modules all that time. Some people have just been focusing on being on the live calls and then work through the bulk of the modules after that first 12 weeks. You can choose what works for you and your lifestyle and your work pattern or whatever else you have going on in your life. So I can talk more about that if you'd like, but I just want to stop there before I give too much detail and it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one question in the comments that we can answer really quickly, and then I'm going to come back to a ton of questions I have about all that information you just shouted out right there. So the first question in the comments here is, do people get an opportunity to experience RTT that are going to deal with unresolved trauma in this program?
Okay, I'm just looking at that question.
Mm-hmm.
Experience RTT to resurface any of the unresolved. That's a really good question. So we don't include RTT sessions in this program. So I'm really glad that you asked. And that's kind of a distinction between the RTT and the RTC program. So I'd say RTC coaching is more about, I have a goal, I have a dream, I have a vision, I have a desire, and I want to move towards that goal. It could be that there are some emotional blocks on the way to pursuing that goal, and we have some tools that can help you manage those blocks. RTT, and I'm sort of exaggerating the difference now, but it's a little bit more like, I know I have a block, I have a problem, I'm stuck, and I've tried everything else I know how to try. So maybe the root cause is actually subconscious. And so I need a tool like RTT that uses hypnosis that's going to get to a subconscious block. So I see RTC coaching is about moving someone forward, whereas RTT is about helping someone resolve what's been keeping them stuck. Sometimes you can use them together, but it's often not necessary. I find for so many problems, if you apply really good coaching skills, like defining what the problem actually is, exploring it, looking at strategy, looking at emotional blocks, a lot of problems actually resolve once you disentangle them. Most of the time, there are some things which may not disentangle, in which case RTT can be a fantastic tool to use on those occasions.
There's another couple of great questions that are coming up, but from Anushri, she asked, I would like to know, and I'm going to read out the entire question. It's in its entirety to you, because I'm realizing that because you have such sharp coaching skills, that you probably are very curious about the exact wording that people are using in their questions so that you
You're
can
not
give a
wrong.
very accurate answer. Yeah. I would like to know if we will be equipped to understand when a client actually needs therapy and not just coaching.
That's a very deep question. It can well be that someone who is appropriate for coaching will also need some therapeutic support at the same time. So I think that what we can really do for our coaches is help them to stay in their lane and know what it is that they can do. So this idea of knowing when someone needs therapy, really, it's really psychotherapists, psychiatrists, doctors who are going to be qualified to diagnose if someone has a mental health problem. So that's definitely not our role. But if you're noticing that someone is in deep distress, that they're having patterns that are not resolving, that might be an opportunity for them to ask them, how do they feel? Have they spoken to someone else? Invite them to look for further support there. So I think it would be beyond the scope of a coaching program to be able to teach you how to diagnose, what someone else might be dealing with. But most of the time, because we teach you how to set goals and really explore what the client needs at the beginning of that coaching relationship, most of the time it will become apparent at that point if they're not a fit for coaching. I would also say that we have a lot of support in this community. So we have monthly drop-ins. So if you're maybe at the beginning, this can happen. If you're new to coaching, that's feel like a little bit of a fuzzy boundary. If people are starting to approach you and you're not sure, is it appropriate? Come and ask us in the monthly drop-ins, or even after the monthly drop-ins are finished, come and ask in the Facebook group. So keep using the community. That's what it's there for you to get second opinions, or of course, you may need to seek the advice of qualified professionals in your area and direct your clients to do so if that's what's for them.
Amazing. So going back to the program itself, we've got tons of other questions that we're going to cover later and keep popping those in. I'll keep trying to get to those when possible. This 3-month intensive phase that starts the whole program, you went through a lot of details really quickly there. It was these 5 virtual classrooms, 5 deep dive sessions, 5 live demonstrations with real clients, with real sessions, 10 practice circles of 90 minutes each, practicing the tools that they're learning. That's a pretty intensive segment of things there. And so I realized that this program, it's very important that everybody attends all of the live sessions to the best of their ability. What's the wiggle room with that? Like, how many of those things do I need to attend? If I have like a pretty busy schedule and I've got things planned ahead of time, what's sort of the percentage of that I need to attend to graduate?
Yeah, great question. So to kind of protect the integrity of the course and make sure that everyone feels safe in the community, it is really important that people come regularly. A, so you get the practice, and B, so that we feel like we're moving through it together and you're not having practice sessions with people you've never met before and you have no connection with. So we recommend you come to all of the live mandatory training, which is the virtual classrooms and the group development sessions and the practice circles. What's cool about the practice circles is we offer 20 during your live training period. You only need to attend 10. So you can choose which 10 you attend. You can attend all of them if you want, but you don't have to. So that might help a little bit. I would say if you know, gosh, I'd love to, I can make most of them, but there's 1 or 2 that I can't make, then we'll see what we can do to be flexible with you, see if there's another way that we can give you the content that you need. If you know I can't make half of the live trainings, this might not be the right program for you at this time. If you know you can't make any of them and you prefer to watch something online later, that's not really how this program is designed. We do take a stand for quality, so we do need you to be there live. So I'd say 1 or 2, we can manage around that. If it's half or fewer than half that you could attend, then no, this wouldn't be the right program for you, unfortunately.
Got it. So as many as possible, definitely want to do 80% or more of the attended calls. And that's for a number of reasons, like you said, of course, for the education, but mostly because the community aspect of this cohort is so important. I am going to share the schedule for this cohort in just a little bit, but I've got some other questions about like these different experiences that people are going through. So in the virtual classrooms, like how long is that and what are they working on?
Yeah, so the virtual classrooms, there's something really special about how we do virtual classrooms at this school. So I've been on virtual classrooms with other training providers and they're not as fun. So our virtual classrooms are 4 hours each, which sounds like a long time, but because we move quite quickly, we keep the energy high. So our virtual classrooms will maybe start with an overview of the topic of the day, and then we will get straight into a demonstration. And what I love about our coaching demonstrations is that they're authentic. So what we don't do is fake coaching. What we don't do is scripted scenarios. You will see a real qualified coach working with someone else on an unprepared role play. They'll know what it is that they need to be focusing on in the coaching session, but they won't have pre-prepared it too much. So you're seeing something very organic and live and true to what coaching is like in the real world. So we'll see a demonstration of a skill or a moment in coaching or a tool that you need to master. And then you'll get the opportunity to practice that immediately in the virtual classroom. So you're going to be put into small breakout rooms in groups of 3, where you'll have a client, a coach, and an observer, and you'll rotate those roles so that in perhaps it's an hour or an hour and a half that you're in that practice trio, everyone gets the opportunity to coach, to be coached, and also to receive and give some feedback. We also give you some guidance about how to give feedback that helps rather than harms your peers. And that way there's no leakage. You see what you have to do and you do it. And we find that's a really effective way of making something that can seem overwhelming very doable very quickly. So you get 2 demos and 2 practice rounds in every virtual classroom, and they're a lot of fun.
And what are some of the examples of the tools and the skills that they're learning? You don't have to go into like actual examples, but just some of the names and maybe a couple of the reasons why these tools are there.
Yeah, happy to. So we begin with, and as if you've followed Marisa, which I'm sure you have, if you're here or you know a bit about RTT, we're a lot about disruption. And so that's something else I'd say with RTC, we break some of the rules of coaching. So we're coaches who actually talk about ourselves sometimes, or share a little bit about ourselves. Sometimes we even give advice, which coaches are not supposed to do. But we teach you how and when to do that appropriately. So we start off about how you start the coaching relationship, which can include how you share your own personal story in a way that not only builds rapport, but is instructive to your client. So we start there. We also move through simple skills like how to ask effective, very clean questions. So that we want you to be able to ask questions in the way that a coach would, not a friend over brunch, a coach would. So being very mindful of the language you use and how by just changing the words in your question, you can actually direct or even misdirect what your client says. So we start there with the relationship and the questioning skills. Quickly, we move on to how you would actually build a strategy for your client. So we go into, and in a following virtual classroom, we'll look at how do you set really good goals, aligned goals that your client is taking responsibility for? How do I identify what they really want? And then, because we are coaches and not consultants, we look at the why behind what they want. So often when you understand someone's why, you get much more buy-in from your client about their goals. It's also why sometimes coaching doesn't work, because there wasn't real clarity about the why behind someone's goals. So that's something that we make sure is done right in the RTC model. In the next virtual classroom, we look at patterns. So we look at how to spot patterns, not just of your client's language, but their body language, their behavior. Are they always turning up 10 minutes late? Do they always say, yeah, but are they not doing the things between sessions that they say they will? So we look at not only you witnessing the pattern, but knowing when to share that feedback with the client and how to move beyond just seeing a pattern to actually changing it, because sometimes seeing it isn't enough. We also have some really cool therapeutic tools that we introduce you to, like the ladder of looping thoughts, like dialogue with future self, which I really love. There's also role, function, purpose, and intention, which is about how you understand why people keep saying they want to change, but can't manage to do it. So there's often a payoff to the status quo, and the role, function, purpose, intention tool, which you might have heard of from RTT, but we show you how to use with the conscious mind, really unmasks what's going on with counterproductive or self-sabotage behaviors.
Wow. So there is just a lot. I mean, clearly this is an extremely comprehensive course. And the interesting and intimidating and exciting part about this is I haven't even asked you about the other 3 elements of this intensive phase. So we're going to get there at some point way down the road. People can ask deeper questions to other parts of the team because we only have so much time on this webinar, but amazing levels of detail. What does this look like when I'm a graduate? Like, what am I prepared to go out into the world and do? What do people generally see for themselves once they graduate a program this dense?
Ooh, I love that question. So I would say it will change everything because it will change how you hear other people. So it could be, and this is true of many of our graduates, that your goal is to start your own coaching business. So I find that what holds people back in starting their coaching businesses already thriving is that they're not convinced they can get their clients results. It's really hard to market if you're not convinced of what you do. It's really hard to sell if you don't believe that your person will get transformation. So after going through the RTC program, you know that you have a coaching toolkit that goes beyond the basic ABC goal setting, but actually will help your client if they get stuck with the emotions. So you'll have the confidence to build your career as a coach if that's what you want. But also if that's maybe not what you want, maybe you are in a corporate setting and you want to stay there but use your coaching as a manager, then this is going to help you hear group discussions in a different way, hear what your reports or your manager is saying in a different way. If you're interested in having better relationships with your children, your partner, your parents, RTC is going to help you hear those people in your life in a different way and have difficult conversations more successfully. It also will allow you to tap into what it is you really want, but perhaps have been avoiding. So whether it's personal or professional, we see benefits and differences in people's lives on the outside of this program.
Incredible. And, one of the questions I'll tackle really quickly, and then I have a first special surprise for everybody, is you do not need to have any background in hypnotherapy. You don't need to do RTT to do RTC. They are sister programs and they are extremely distinct from one another. And they tackle very different things, and you're prepared to work with very different things when you graduate both of them. And honestly, the clientele that you would serve and the reason you would serve them are very different as well. However, they do work extremely well together. So the complement of these two modalities is absolutely incredible. And they've been designed that way to truly complement each other. So my first special surprise is we actually have a graduate, actually not a graduate from the program, someone who took the program who succeeded so much in her own personal life and in her career journey and her purpose journey that she hasn't yet graduated because she's been doing so many amazing things with her life. So is it possible that we could get Melanie up on? I think I can even, yep, there's Melanie. And then I can ask her to unmute. So Melanie, can you tell us about what your life was like before joining RTC and what really inspired you to join the program?
Well, I was doing RTT, which was fantastic. And I used it for healing my autoimmune disease and getting myself really healthy and fit and getting myself generally sorted out. And then I saw that the RTC course was coming up and I thought that sounds fantastic because I can then continue my journey. But I didn't realize what an amazing journey it would be. Quite spectacular, in fact, because if you'd have told me when I started that I'd be where I was now, I'd have thought you were making up a story. So I've used it more, like Chiara was saying, for my family, to improve relationships with my family. I've used it for my finances. It's made me look at our finances in a completely different way. I've already got 2 income streams up and running since January that I didn't think I would have. Which is fantastic. I've also moved into my dream house, which I didn't think I'd have when I started. I didn't think was possible because RTC really teaches you to look at the world in a different way. And that's quite extraordinary because it brings about all kinds of possibilities that you really didn't think were going to happen. And for me, it was the start of a journey, and it got me so interested in other coaches, other people, what they're saying. And it was like I never knew it was there. I never knew it existed. And I'm 61 now, so I didn't start my coaching journey till I was 60. But just to say for everybody, it's just been fantastic, and it's never too late to start. And the relationship with my children, my grown-up children, have flourished so well that I'm actually going into business with my daughter, which I could never have imagined. It really changes the way you think. When I first began, the first few months, I was like really enjoying it. But then suddenly something changed in my mindset and I suddenly got it. It was like, that light bulb moment. And I really primed my brain, and working with the other girls that I work with as well, they were, funny enough, they were a lot younger than me. I was partnered up with, but we felt that was a real good benefit because we learned from each other. And one of the things that I was really scared about was this whole new world of technology and social media. So one of the coaches told me, make it your friend, put it on your team. So I kind of brain primed myself, which kind of learned a bit about that, and hypnosis, and did vision boards about loving social media. Well, I'm now just starting business with my daughter as a social media coach because I love it so much. So, you can change your life around. So anything else you want to ask me, I'll be glad to answer.
That was absolutely incredible. I will share one of the comments that I got, which is from Margaret. And she says, wow, does RTC make you age backwards? Because you look fabulous, Melanie.
Well, actually, that's down to Marisa's, because one of the first things that I did with Marisa was one of her books. I'm trying to think which one it is now. You can actually do that aging backwards thing. So thank you, Marisa. So I thoroughly recommend it.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Melanie. Kira, do you have anything else you'd like her to add, or do you want to get through with this next segment?
No, I'm just really happy to hear that story because I'd only heard a part of it before. And what I would say is my tip for people who want to get the most out of the course like Melanie has is she also turned up to those monthly drop-ins. So she kept herself accountable. She kept using the course as it had been designed. She didn't let herself fall behind or feel like she was on her own. She kept leaning into the community. So it's really nice to see what this has yielded for you.
Yeah, I thoroughly recommend it. I mean, dive right in, get yourself sorted out there. And even if I haven't finished it because my life's been so busy, I will in the next few weeks. But I've done all the actual coursework. It's just the final graduation. But having set up multiple businesses, literally moved house, sorted out my children, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back because, and doing the vision boards as well. I literally was going through, for those of you who don't know, vision board we're taught to do is where you put everything on it and have visions. We do visualization, don't we, Cara? And actually ticking everything off on that list one by one is quite incredible. And my husband really came on board as well, which was really good.
Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your story. So that being said, the program is generally 6 months for people, but can go up to 10 months with support because your life can get so amazing and so incredible during it. And life happens too. Things can come up that are unexpected and curveballs. So that's why we add that additional 4 months of support for people. So let's get into the next little segment. Thank you so much, Melanie, for coming on and sharing your story. I really look forward to hopefully hanging out with you more and getting to talk more to you in everybody else here who joins RTC, because there's a big community so everyone can communicate with each other. But thank you so much. So once you get past the intensive phase, then you get into this other phase, right? Well, do you have a really cool name for that phase too? And then talk to me about what we're really working on there, what we're learning there.
So we don't have a cool name. Maybe we need one. Maybe you can help me with that. But I really think it's the sort of the exploration or self-discovery phase, because you've been taking the sort of first 3 months where it's very much you're told, be here then, do this then, work with this person. And then the next 3 months is about, okay, what do I want to do with this? So you've got the skills, you've got the tools, you've practiced somewhat already. But the next 3 months is really about looking at how you are going to apply this to your own coaching business. So we give you the opportunity to practice mini coaching packages. And this is one of the things I love about our course is many people in the industry are trying to sell you on the idea of become a coach. You can sell in packages. If you sell in packages, make lots of money. And then you go on your coaching course and they get you to practice and you do loads of practice sessions, but normally they're one-off sessions. Normally you get really good at delivering first sessions and you're like, wow, this is great. And then when you go into the wild and you start coaching and you try and coach the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth session, you think, oh, I'm losing momentum. I clarified the person's goals and they didn't follow through. What am I doing wrong? So right from the beginning, we build it in our program that you get the opportunity to coach in packages. They're small packages, but they are packages. They have a beginning, a middle, and end. They're at least 3 sessions long. And you get the opportunity to see what happens once the initial spark of the first session has gone. What happens that allows you to keep the momentum moving in session 2 and 3? How do you conclude a package? So that if you want to sell or coach in packages, after graduation. You don't have to, but if you want to, you feel prepared. And coaching someone the second, third, the 12th time is different from coaching them the first time. So that's something that's really important. You also get the opportunity to do your own personal development workbook, which draws out your own personal strengths, your values, what kind of coach you want to be, maybe if there's a niche that you want to develop, and maybe look at some of the things you've been through, your formative experiences for better and worse. What are you bringing in to coaching? So that's really important as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Kira, but if I remember you correctly, the self-development, the personal development workbook is mandatory to turn in before you're allowed to graduate.
That's right. Yes. So it's almost like your graduating assignment. So before you finish the course, you will do these practice sessions and mini packages with two. So you'll do 2 3-session packages. So you get to experience coaching in a package twice. You will also be coached by your peer. So you're getting that give and take. You get feedback from them about what they like, what you can be working on. And you also get the experience of being coached as well, which can help you. So you get this personal development workbook, which you can do at your own pace. But yes, you need to submit that at the point that you are ready to be assessed. There's a knowledge assessment, which will check your theoretical and situational judgment. So do you understand the theory of RTC? Do you know what you might do in some of these more challenging situations? And then finally, your graduation piece is a live practical assessment. So you get to choose when you're ready, you get to book in for a practical assessment. You will deliver a short 40-minute session live with a peer. It could be one of your practice partners, it could be someone else, and you're going to be watched by one of our team of RTC trainers who are going to give you real-time feedback. And I love that. But so often what's missing in these programs is individualized feedback. So here you get a chance to do a coaching session, a mini session with someone, get your client's feedback, and then get personalized feedback from an expert coach so that you can see what have you achieved, what are your strengths as a coach, but also what do you need to keep working on after the life of your course here.
Incredible. And then there's these open Q&A calls, right, with different coaches that are already graduated, and they're going to allow you to come in with your real world questions of clients and help you get mentoring in real time.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's an opportunity, again, if you're someone who's thinking, oh, I mean, I'm interested in seeing what it's like to feel like to be coached, then whether it's in your practice sessions or going to these monthly drop-in calls where you can bring your real questions to real coaches who will give you their feedback and possibly a bit of coaching if we have time in those sessions. So they're really valuable.
And when we do these 3-session packages, so we do at least 2 of them throughout the program, and you teach us how to do the beginning, middle, end, what are some of the things we're working with people on in these practice packages?
Great question. So we keep it realistic in the sense that it could be whatever your client throws at you. Obviously, we keep it within scope that people shouldn't be bringing something which is for therapy into coaching. But you will negotiate that. You will agree that in your first session. What are the goals? What's realistic for us to work on together in 3 sessions? So that's a skill in itself. Setting appropriate goals that match the package that you're delivering, not things that are going to take 12 packages to deliver.
Could you give me an example of that? Like, what's your favorite or some of your favorite topics that people would work on in a 3-session package?
So it could be public speaking. It could be sometimes if someone's getting feedback in their workplace that we know you've got talent, but you're not speaking up enough in meetings, or you're not really showing that kind of executive presence. Looking at what that actually means. Often the feedback they're getting is hard to understand. So looking, what is it that people are really telling you and how are we going to work on that? It could be about having difficult decisions or difficult conversations in your relationship. So I would say in a 3-session package, I'd be looking at, is there a key decision that needs to be made? Can we maybe rehearse how you're going to have that conversation if you need to have a tough conversation with someone? And because we've got 3 sessions, can we see what was the effect or impact of you taking this action? Did it work? Did it work, but in a way you didn't expect? Is there some fallout that you need support with? And then you have sessions 2 and 3 to look at that. So that's the kind of thing I'd be looking at.
And in your experience of having been a coach for such a long time now, and when you think about once someone's graduated, once they've done their 3-session packages and they've got some reps in, as I would call it, what does a coach work with? Like, let's say they have a client for 6 months or a year. What's the type of thing that maybe you prefer to work with? Like what type of goals do you like to work with people on for a longer time frame?
I love that. So I love looking at full lifestyle change and working with someone for 6 months or a year. It could be that maybe there's a job that they know they need to leave, but they don't have a plan. They don't have an off ramp to that career. So rather than it being something that I know I should, or one day, or maybe next year, it's what is the actual plan? Why does this need to happen now? But also acknowledging if someone's making a significant change in their living situation, in their career, in their income streams, it might take a few months, could take 6 months, could take even 12 to fully implement on that. So if I was working with them for 6 or 12 months, there'd probably be a multitude of goals, maybe 6 goals he wanted to work on, whether it's identifying what is the right career that they want to change into, helping them identify the right places where they can use those skills, moving, is it applying to new jobs? Is it starting their own business? Is it relationships that need to change, boundaries they need to set with family or partners? Is it how they're taking care of their health and their morning routine so they can actually be productive in the time they're setting aside for this new career change? So I often work in the realm of career and business. So those are the examples that come to mind for me. But I would normally have several goals that sort of make sense together that I would be working through with someone in a 6 or 12-month period.
Incredible. And I think from a coaching perspective, especially with all of these things that we're going to be learning, all the different tools, the way that we're going to be blending some of that DNA from RTT into RTC and all like and I know Marisa actually shows up and does a couple sessions with us throughout the journey, right? So she shows up month 2-ish and month 4-ish to just give her own magic around RTC, right?
Give us some webinars, and the topics are about how you work with clients. So what's all her client expertise, and also how do you define success? How do you get the best, most phenomenal results for your clients?
Oh, incredible. I'm very excited for that. When I think about this, I personally, knowing myself, would probably find 3 clients or 5 clients over the course of a couple years and then say, I want to work with these people for the rest of my life. And I want to just watch them grow and evolve and transform over years, over decades, even. Is that something that you've seen happen in this industry or in this world?
In terms of working with people over long, like multiple years or that sort of thing? Yes. So I think what I love about coaching is it gives you freedom. One of the things, and I will come back to the point, I promise, but one of the things I love about coaching gives you freedom. So one of the things I was really missing in my previous career is I couldn't choose who I worked with. I worked with some great people and people I did not get on with so well. And with coaching, you get to choose who are your clients. You get to work with people who respect and value your expertise. And you also get to decide, are you someone who likes these long-term commitments of growing together year after year? Or are you someone who likes to go quickly, let's get this done, let's get you, move to your next level and then move on. So you can choose if you love doing short intensives with a client. Do you like doing beautiful one-day intensives in a location, perhaps where you spend 8 hours together, really coming up with a strategy and doing deep work? Or are you someone who likes to take a slower, more relaxed approach and give your client the space of 6 months, 12 months to make these subtle changes in their life? So you can choose. What I've been finding is really beautiful in my own practice is I have clients who work together for a few months and then they've up-leveled in that time. They then want to go and stretch their wings or stretch their arms even and start putting in practice everything that we've talked about in their own lives or their businesses. And then their businesses grow. And then there's a new challenge. And then they want to come back for more coaching to help them succeed at that next level. So I'm really enjoying that in my own practice, working for a few months, letting them implement that on their own, get some reps in their own life. And then when there's a new challenge or a new ambition, they come back for more coaching and I can coach them, a higher level version of them. It could be a year later, it could be 2 years later. And I really love that.
Oh, that's absolutely incredible. Okay. So when you join this program, you get this personal development workbook. You're personally transforming. You're going to all these classrooms. You're learning these skills and tools. I assume it's inevitable that you're going to use some of these skills, knowledge, tools on family, friends, your workplace, people around you in general, which is going to start to shift the way that you interact with the world at large, but also interacting with yourself. You're going to start to realize how you say things differently, how you show up differently. Maybe you're going to start to set goals of how you'd like to speak or how you'd like to show up in the world, right? Which is going to dramatically impact your current career, but probably start to show you how you're going to impact people professionally. Then you're doing these 3-session packages. You're really getting the feel of what a beginning, middle, and end feels like. You're getting a really good feel of how to help people set goals that coaching could actually help them achieve in a set amount of time. You're getting these incredible webinars with Marisa. You're getting a knowledge assessment to make sure you're not just making all of this up to yourself and everyone else thinks you actually know what you're talking about. You've got the practical assessment where you're going to get live feedback from someone about your exact practice that you've developed over the course of the time in the program. You've got these open Q&A calls to just continue refining. Where is there more business practice and business expertise in this program? Like, do you teach people how to charge? Do you teach people sort of how to become a successful entrepreneur on the outset of this journey once they graduate by passing the 2 assessments and turning in their personal development workbook?
Yeah, so we like to keep an open mind on how people grow their businesses. There are some people who are going to want to niche and are going to want to market to a more outcome-focused style of coaching. And there are some people who are going to want to stay generalists and say, any problem you throw at me, I'm going to coach you through that. So we allow you to have the space to be the kind of coach you want to be. What I would say is that we really embed these business practices in coaching. So from session 1, we're looking at how might you start an initial conversation, maybe when you're still at the stage where someone hasn't decided if they want to work with you. What is it that you need to be finding out to see if this person's a good fit for you? We also look at the boundaries that you'd need to set in a professional relationship. And in your last virtual classroom, you get the experience of re-enrolling a client, which I think is really fun. So we see what would it be like to bring to someone to the conclusion of their coaching goals. And then if it's a good fit, actually pitch yourself as a coach who's going to continue working them for another series of months. So by the end of your 5th virtual classroom, you'll have had the experience of practicing, pitching your selling, pitching your coaching, and re-enrolling a client. In the monthly drop-ins, you get to crowdsource wisdom on how to handle business challenges. So you'll get a panel of coaches like myself who've got experience in the industry. And so any questions you have on how do I sell? How do I market myself? I have a client who says they're going to work with me and they never do. Is it okay to coach my sister? All those questions that you're having to navigate at the beginning of starting up a business about how do you get the word out? How do you market yourself? How do you change the way people see you if they don't see you in this light yet? All those things are things that we dive into in the monthly drop-in sessions. So that's where you almost get the sort of like the clinic. This is my clinic. This is where I'm going to get my acute questions answered. And there's also something else, which I'm sure you're going to talk about soon, which is really going to help them market their coaching practice, which really helps you take it to the next level in terms of professionalizing you as a business owner and not just a coach.
Ooh, another surprise. So as my second surprise, but not the one that Kira just mentioned, we have another person here who's actually graduated RTC and has built an incredible life and business for herself. And if you guys are excited, I'm going to go ahead and bring her up and give you a whole nother story of what this experience and what this life path could really look like for you in the very near future. So welcome, Nikki.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Nikki. So what was your life like before RTC? How did you learn about it? Why did you get into it? What was the experience like? And what is life like for you now?
Okay. A lot of questions in one question. So I'll try and remember what you said. So my life before RTC, I worked in banking. I was a contractor. I worked for a big bank and I have a daughter and I'm a single mum. So that lifestyle wasn't really working for me because I didn't have the flexibility that I wanted. And she was starting school because at the time she was about to turn 5. And I didn't know how I was going to be able to drop her off and pick her up. I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I wanted to do. So I was looking for a way that I could utilize, like Kira was saying, the empathy that I have and, you know, my love for people and shift careers. So I took the leap initially and started a coaching business, and I don't know what gave me the idea that I could do it because I had no background in it and no experience. But as we know, coaching isn't necessarily very regulated, so anyone could kind of go out and call themselves a coach. And that really was what I'd done with the best intentions. I left because my daughter is so important to me. But I soon found out that there's definitely some areas that I needed to grow in and to learn. So I initially started off by finding Marisa and doing the RTT course. And that was an absolute game changer for me. My brain was just, I'd exploded with all the information. Like, it's such a fabulous course to attend. And I just became such a better coach, but still more so leaning towards the therapeutic side and not so much towards the coaching. And I really wanted that balance where I wanted to offer the whole package. I want to get people to their goals. I want to be able to hit those subconscious blockers at the same time. So when the RTC cohort, I was in the first one, transitioning from RTT into RTC. And I thought, what a fantastic opportunity to really get more tools in my toolbox from a coaching perspective. So I signed up, not really knowing, smugly, I'm like, what are you going to teach me that Marisa hasn't already taught me? And I already know everything. And I was so wrong. I had been successfully coaching people, but now looking back, I'm like, wow, I don't know how I was doing that, because I didn't listen. I didn't know how to listen. And that is one of the biggest growth areas that I found in RTC, was really learning how to listen. And I learned that from being in the virtual classrooms and having people really deeply listen to me and how that felt. Having the coach's feedback and really understanding and giving this beautiful constructive feedback. And I'm like, you really heard me then. And I feel so good about that it taught me how to listen. And I've really utilized that in my practice now. I think I missed a couple of questions, Skip. What else did you ask me?
Oh gosh, it's such an inspiring story already. I'm so curious, that one skill, that one core skill that you learned of listening, how has that transformed your relationship with your daughter and your relationship with yourself and just to you?
Like, honestly, I could cry because it's changed everything so much. My sister is quite a hard nut to crack, and I tried to therapize her with all my wisdom. I was like, yes, I know everything. Let me do this. And we just were never really I never really got through. And then when I acquired this skill of listening, like actively listen, you really go into it, reflective listening, active listening, there's so much to it. It's not just using your ears. Like, it's really, really a massive part of the course for me anyway. And she said to me, I feel like you really heard me for the very first time. And I was like, wow. And she opened up to me. It was huge. My daughter actually says to me all the time, she's like, Mummy, stop saying, and what does that mean? She's 7, but it does get a lot of information from my daughter. I ask her certain questions from a coaching point of view, and then I listen, I wait, I hear her, I feed it back to her. She feels acknowledged. It's so helpful. So helpful.
Incredible. And what's your business like now?
Oh, okay. So I'm really glowing because this is the third 6 weeks holiday. So for anyone who's in different countries, I don't know whether you have a 6 weeks holidays, but your children in the UK have 6 weeks off of school. And as I said, I'm a single mum, and it's the third time that I've had this 6-week period where I have to balance the childcare and running my own business and paying my own mortgage and paying for everything else and having a holiday in the middle. So there's a lot going on in August. The last 2 years, it has been my lowest income month because I was training, because I was new to things, I was learning. I only qualified in RTC last June. But because of implementing everything that I have learned and buckling down and really applying it, I'm getting more and more people renew. I've set up a group coaching program with all the tools that I've learned as lessons throughout, structured lessons. And August this year has been my highest income month, which is such a huge shock, if I'm honest, massive shock. But I'm really thrilled about it. It's expanding, and I feel super grateful that this is all happening, because I also get the flexibility where it's a joke. I went to Cyprus with my daughter for a week. I went to Ibiza with a couple of my friends for a few days. Like, I've been living my best life in August, whilst it's all kind of running in the background. Like, I don't want to set anybody up and think that as soon as you graduate, it's just going to all fall into your lap. But if you've got those tools and you have the right attitude and the passion, and you know where you want to get to, and you have your own goals, just keep working on it and you will get there 100%. And it's all working out really well at the moment.
Absolutely incredible. Kira, from a scale of 1 to Nikki, how amazing am I going to be by the end of this program? You don't actually have to answer that. Nikki, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. We've got comments in the chat. And guys, I've got great news and I've got bad news for you. Okay. And we're going to get into that really soon. Nikki, thank you so much for coming on. Really, really excited to be able to chat with you more in the future. Okay. So everybody, here's the great news. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share. I've got the dates of everything for you. You should be able to see my screen. I was reading the comments from people. So here's the dates of the program itself. So you guys hopefully can see all of that. So we've got the virtual classrooms here. Oh. Yeah, there we go. So the virtual classrooms, 14th of September, 28th of September, 12th of October, 26th of October, 9th of November. Ideally, you attend all of these. If you can at least attend 4 out of 5, that is the goal. Would really make it a priority to attend all of them. The group development sessions for this cohort, 21st of September, 5th of October, 19th of October, 2nd of November, which is my birthday, and 16th of November, which is my favorite day of the year. And then the practice circles, which are Mondays and Wednesdays. And you can see in there the rough time of those. So these are in, I believe, UK time on both of those. Is that correct, Kira?
That's right, yes.
Beautiful. So these are the dates. If you want to get these dates, we'll make sure to email those out and we'll make sure that all of you can see that. So when we go to the program at large, we broke it down, right? Because, obviously we have the DNA of RTT in the company. And we were looking at this, we said, could we just add a coaching skill set, before we developed RTC? And when we looked at it, we said, okay, there's these, what would we create if we were to create the most incredible coaching program? Because we had created this incredible therapy program, right? How could we build an incredible coaching program? And we just started to slot in these different component parts, and they're always evolving and growing, right? Of course, Kira and the team always ask incredible questions about how could we make this even better? And the last surprise is how we're continuing to make it even better for this cohort. And this is going to be the great news. But remember, I've got bad news coming, but the great news first. So if we were to put this all together, if we were to put the virtual classrooms together, the deep dive sessions, the live demonstrations, the practice circles that happen every Monday and Wednesday, the webinars with Marisa, teaching you how to deliver the 3-session packages, the knowledge assessment, the practical assessment, the self-coaching workbook, the open Q&A calls to bring in your very real problems to talk to with certified coaches, and we were to do all of the business education, it would cost us a lot of money to just deliver the program, right? It would cost us somewhere around $20,000 if we were to do this in any other way. But we've put it together like this in a cohort program so that everyone can do it simultaneously to make it way more affordable for everybody. And so we thought about that and we said, okay, we can deliver the caliber of program that we demand from ourselves, something where we know you're going to be comprehensively qualified by the end of this. We knew that we could deliver it for a $10,000 price point. And we do our own payment plans. We're very familiar with this in RTT. And then we asked ourselves, if we cohorted this, instead of having it as a running program all of the time, what could we do? And because of the cohorted program, we've been able to get the program down to $7,995 as a price point. And with that, it's become so much more affordable for people to attend. But I've got other good news. If you're on this webinar right now, leading up to the cohort, which the last day to sign up, and this is getting into the bad news, is September 10th. If you're on this webinar right now, we're going to give you $500 off the enrollment price of whatever payment plan that you choose to sign up for the program. Now, the bad news is and they're going to be dropping call links in the chats across platforms right now, especially on Zoom. We have almost no call slots. You'll notice in August, we have 0 available. So we've got September 10th as the last day to sign up for the program. And we've only got so many slots available in the program. And so for everyone that wants to sign up, and this notification is going out across the business right now to well over 500,000 people that this program is enrolling for the first time this year. It's very exciting, but we've also added something really special. We're actually going to be adding, for the first time ever, the Marketing Accelerator Toolkit, unlimited Q&A for marketing advice in the latter half of this RTC cohorted program. And that is usually a $2,000 program that we add, but we're going to actually offer it to this RTC cohort specifically at no additional cost. We're going to bake it into the regular program because it's becoming more and more important to us that you succeed financially in a world where inflation is crazy, in a world where really developing yourself as a successful entrepreneur has become more challenging. We're just going to add more resources and more education and more opportunities for you to reach out and get the help and get the support that you need to be successful. And so we've got no slots left in August. We've got slots in September. But what you'll notice if you click the link to book your call is we've actually opened up a live Zoom room. So we've got our career alignment specialists in that Zoom room right now that can go one-on-one with you. We'll put you into a breakout room. You can get all your questions answered. You don't have to sign up right now, but you can sign up right now to claim your spot if you really want to reserve that spot in this cohort that's filling up, and you'll be in it with me and a lot of my friends that are signing up for this one as well. But you can also book a follow-up call if you need to. If you can't get the funds ready right now, the program is going to be $7,495 for anyone that signs up off of this webinar. But there's payment plans available. They'll explain all of that to you. We've gotten it so that you can get as low as a $470 a month payment option for the program. So remember, in 4 months is the shortest amount of time that anyone can graduate the program. 6 months is about the average, and you can build an incredible life for yourself, whether you're going to become a coach or whether you're just going to add this to the existing career that you have, or you want to do something else entirely. Like you've heard from Melanie, like you've heard from Nikki, like you've heard from Kira and myself, this is going to amplify and accelerate everything that you do in life, because these skills that you develop in rapid transformational coaching transcend all careers. These are soft skills that when you're trained at a high level become so important. Kira, what are some other ways that this has impacted you? Like, do you look at people's careers differently in general? Do you look at finances differently after all of this?
Say more about that question.
So I wonder, how differently do you see the world of business now than you saw the world of business before when you were in that corporate career?
Yes, so differently. I think this knowledge this independence that I have, that I can make my own way in the world, whether it's through my financial capacity to generate financially, through it's the decisions I make, being able to make money from your own intellectual capacities, from your relationship skills, from your ideas, from serving others in a way that actually helps others. That is life-changing, knowing that I came from the government sector, so I hadn't come from the business sector. I'd worked with businesses, but I'd come from the non-profit or the public sector. So this was also a little bit new to me as well, seeing myself as an entrepreneur. So it's given me so many skills. A, that I have a skill that I can market and sell that I know is of real value, and B, a skill that even if I wasn't starting my business is highly valued in the workplace. It allows you to be more impactful in meetings with your managers, with your boss, with your direct reports. If you have to give presentations at work, if you're looking to get a promotion, to ask for a raise in salary, these are all communication, negotiation, and presentation issues. These are all the skills that you get as a powerful coach. If you're thinking about how you can conduct a business negotiation, whether it's in a company or between companies, it's about taking the perspective of the other person. And that is something that coaches are masterful at doing. So I see coaching as something that has changed how I think, and it has enriched not only my financial opportunities, but also my relationships.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see how this couldn't impact every single thing in your life, which is why I was so compelled to be a part of this cohort as well, and why I wanted to join. So we've got the book a call links going into the different platforms here so that you can all go and see. And remember, The book of calls are only available in September right now. But if you really want to get your questions answered right now, right after this webinar or during it, there's going to be that live Zoom room where we've got people in those rooms where you can go one-on-one, get all your questions answered, get all the payment plan options sorted, and make a decision there or in a follow-up call sometime. Remember, September 10th is the final time to sign up for this particular program. And if you're on this webinar, we know you were on here, so you can get that $500 discount. Is there an offer for someone who's already gone to the RTT program? So we'll transition to full Q&A at this point. If you've participated in RTT, there is a special price for those people. So if you've already gone through RTT, there's a special price. You can also go into the Zoom rooms, but you can also go into the back office of your RTT training, into your dashboard, and there should be a transition upgrade link in there. You can also reach out to the various groups, and you can reach out to support to help you with that. Kira, do you have any ways to expand on that for people that are already RTT and how they can transition upgrade?
Yes. So if you're for those of you who have already got an RTT learning account or learning management system, or LMS for short, there is a way that you can enroll there. I think Ariel can put the instructions in the chat, but there's a way that you can get the direct link to book with the RTT alumni and student price. There was also a question about, can you do this while you're a student? Yes, you can study both concurrently or consecutively. That's up to you.
Yeah, and a student of RTT, right? So if you're a student of RTT, you can simultaneously be studying RTC. It'd be a very fascinating experience. I want to hear all about it when you get through that. The price is normally $8,000 US for people, but because you're on this webinar, it's $7,495 if it's just all upfront. But then there's just different payment plans that you can talk with the people in either the live Zoom room or book your call in September to talk about it. Let's see other questions we've got. Will the qualification carry over in Ireland? That's a whole thing to get into, like qualifications and regulations across the world. What's your experience been, Kira?
So what I would say is that unlike sort of more therapeutic modalities, coaching and RTC, which falls under coaching, it's not regulated in most countries, which has pros and cons. The pro is that with a certificate in RTC, you are free to practice. And I also find that for those people who are looking to get insurance, you can call yourself a coach, but if you want to be insured in your business, and real business owners should be insured, that insurer is going to ask, okay, what is a certificate that proves you can actually do what you say you do? Having a certificate like RTC can help you get insurance. So again, I can't speak to jurisdictions all around the world in nearly 200 countries, but having a brand or a certificate like RTC will help you practice coaching.
Incredible. Yeah. Manu asked, the approximate cost is about $470 a month. It depends on the different payment plan options. So you'd have to kind of see what works out for you, but you can get on one of those live Zoom rooms when you click through to that link, or you can work out a call in September if you can't go into one of those live Zoom rooms right now. Let's see. I really like this comment right here. Kishan, I have this conversation all the time as well, where he said, it's so funny because so many people spend 40,000 in the States where I'm from, people spend 200,000 on university educations to potentially get an interest in a certain career path, but definitely not the skills and tools necessary to begin that career path, which is really a fascinating difference between university and career programs like this. And there's so many career programs, right? Whether it's coaching or hypnotherapy out there, where they are designed to give you a particular skill, but definitely not the whole picture of how to become a successful entrepreneur in the space, right? And so something as a company that we really pride ourselves on and take very seriously is to give everybody a full set of tools to be able to do the work itself, but also a full set of experiences and knowledge base from the Marketing Accelerator Toolkit. And like in RTC, what I love is the experience to deliver those 3-session packages, and then the considerations on how to expand on that and how to sort of build the program. And we get into a lot of that in Marketing Accelerator, but you'll kind of see there's far more of the business side of things that we incorporate into the different programs. And so you really come out of it a lot more capable, confident, and ready to take on your future if you so choose to be a coach. Yes, you can practice in the States. The training programs are not focused on personal healing. It's interesting, right? We do have the personal development workbook, but do people tend I mean, everyone has issues, right? Like nobody is going to come in without their own personal issues. But I do presume that in the coaching practice sessions, in the practice circles, we're going to get lots of insights and lots of transformation ourselves through the program. Yeah.
Yes, and that's something we really take a stand for is in the virtual classrooms, in our practice circles, is that you are in a confidential, safe space. So you don't have to disclose anything that you don't want to, but if you want to have the experience, maybe there's something or a few things in your life where you're like, there's a pattern here and I know I need to look at it, you can bring that to practice every week for that first 12 weeks. So if you get all these different people asking you powerful questions, using the tools on you, you are probably going to get movement on anything personal that needs to be looked at and resolved at the same time as getting skills to help you impact others.
Amazing. And so when we look at the schedule, we've got the virtual classrooms, the group development sessions, and the practice circles are all the things that are running at certain times. The virtual classrooms are the most important of those. Is that correct?
Yes, that's really foundational to getting the skills. And the group development sessions, I often think of it as good cop, bad cop. So in the virtual classrooms, we show you how to do coaching, how to do it well, what's best practice. However, because as you've said, this is a coaching program designed for the real world, not the perfect world, the real world. And in the group development sessions, we take a topic about what would happen if something went wrong in a coaching relationship, if a client wasn't making progress, if something in the relationship broke down. And we give you a deep dive masterclass in how you handle those tricky moments, which happen to all real coaches. And so you are going to be equipped by the end of this course, not only to have the skills when things are going right, but how to help yourself navigate those difficult moments when something very human and real happens, because it will happen if you're working with someone for 6 or 12 months. We want you to be equipped to be successful in the real world.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have asked, when is the next cohort? We're not exactly sure yet. We're going to determine that based on this cohort and how people are receiving it. So we should have updates on that in the next 60 days or so. Let's see here. Someone said you have to pay an extra $400 to have access to module 8. That's not true. Not sure. That might have been a Google thing. That's probably someone else on Twitter made up that one. Let's see. Any more questions that you guys would like us to talk about or answer? Gina on RTT. Yeah. Amazing. Well, there's no other questions. I'll leave you with one more question, Kira, before we hop off for everybody. Who have been your favorite personal transformations watching students evolve and grow through RTC? Like me, I know it's hard to pick one, so maybe you can do 2 or 3, but like what types of transformations have you experienced watching students who came into RTC?
For me, it's when I see someone actually rebuilding their personality. What I mean by that is not that we need to rebuild our character or our worth. As Marisa says, you are enough. So you are enough before you even start the program. But so many of us, through our childhood conditioning, our culture, we feel like we need to impress people. We feel like in order to be impressive, we need to be a certain way. Maybe we need to look a certain way, sound a certain way, dress a certain way. What I found really moving is when I see people, and if you're a coach, you can always see it. You can always see when there's a front going on, when they realize they don't need to do that anymore. That I am enough isn't just something you say to yourself, it's something you be when you know that being present with your client is enough to serve them. You don't need to prove that you're a guru. You don't need to impress them with thinking, what's the next question? Being truly present, giving someone your full presence is incredibly powerful. Anyone can do that if they're trained and have the right intention. So seeing the mask come down in people's communications, not just in their coaching sessions, but how they show up to the training in general, how they show up in their personal lives, how that impacts intimacy in their relationships, and how that helps them thrive professionally. Because people can there's no longer something to be seen through, they're more authentic. That is always what I find most moving. They're doing less and they're getting better results.
Incredible. What's your go-to most favorite exercise in the RTC playbook?
Well, I'm kind of old school. So for me, just asking a really powerful question does it for me most of the time. But I also really enjoy how we combine visualization techniques and dialoguing. So I really love the Dialogue with the Future Self tool, which is all about tapping into the wisdom that a future version of yourself has that might not otherwise be available to you.
Could you walk us through like a really gentle, light version of that?
Yeah, sure. So full disclosure, we might normally spend 20 minutes doing this, and it's easier to do one-on-one because I ask the client questions and then they give me their answers, and that helps us kind of have a real dialogue with each other. But I'm happy. Will that work for you, Skip, if I sort of do it with the crowd? Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do is a really short, condensed 5-minute version of Dialogue with Your Future Self. And this is really about you practicing using the muscles of making decisions or making choices, visualizing your future life. And it doesn't matter if you think of yourself as a visual person or not. We're really just looking for what's the emotional response, what's the idea. If I ask you a question about what you see and you don't see anything, that's okay. What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you desire? So I'm going to ask you some questions which are going to think about where you might be a year or even 2 years from now. Maybe you're going to become a coach, or maybe it's something else that you'd like to do. I know if you're on this call, it's probably because you're interested in freedom. Maybe it's starting your own business or just having a life and a career that's really based around service. So I'm going to assume a few things there, but you're going to get to fill in the blanks. You don't have to share them with anyone, but you might want to share them in the chat after. And the most important thing is when I ask a question, fill in the blank to yourself, maybe silently, maybe say it out loud if that feels good. And the most important thing is not to judge what comes up. So it doesn't have to be impressive to me, to anyone else, doesn't even have to make sense. We're just looking for you to practice using your creativity muscles. So that's the most important thing that I want you to take from this exercise. So let's begin. I want you to imagine that it's 2 years from now. And 2 years from now, things are really going right in your life because you did something very different. You made some changes. You made some big decisions. You used the courage that's been gathering within you for a lifetime, and things are very different. So you want to tap into that version of yourself. And we want to do that by, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. You don't have to, but if you feel comfortable, it's going to help you visualize. So with your eyes closed, if that's what feels good to you, I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Just hold that breath for a moment and release out through your mouth. And take another deep breath in through your nose and hold and release out through your mouth. And one last deep breath in and hold. And as you breathe out, feel any remaining tension just falling from your shoulders, knowing that you can't get this wrong. And we're just going to have a little play, just have an adventure in meeting your future self. So I want you to imagine with your eyes closed that it's 2 years from now, and you're finally living the life you've been waiting all your life to live. The life you've been dreaming about, maybe daydreaming about at work, or when you should be doing other things, or when you're scrolling social media, that life. This is your chance to see what it might look like, to try it on for size. So I want you to imagine it's 2 years from now. Let's see where you are. If you could be anywhere, if you could have it anywhere you want, where would you be? What's it like when you wake up? You wake up. What time is it? Do you wake up naturally, or is there an alarm clock? Are you alone, or is there someone with you? Maybe a partner, maybe there's a pet, maybe there's kids running in to greet you. Or maybe you just enjoy finally having peace and calm for yourself. And when you open your eyes, what do you see? What does your room look like? Because remember, this can be any way you want. What colors do you see? What's the interior like to your taste? And as you look around, maybe there are photos or mementos, certificates, maybe there's even some art. And as you look over to the side, there's a window. What can you see outside of that window? Is there a garden? Is there a view that inspires you? Are you in the same place that you are now? Or are you somewhere different? Maybe you're in a new home. Maybe you're in a new city. Maybe you're even in a new country. And in this space that's new and yet familiar, you start your day. And because this is your life and it's 2 years from now, you can start it any way you want. So how does it start? How do you nourish yourself? Is there tea or coffee in bed? Do you nourish your mind by reading or journaling to get your thoughts out and your inspiration on paper? Do you nourish your body with movement or stretching or working out? Do you nourish yourself with food or a healthy breakfast? And once you're up, what does your day look like? How do you spend your day, knowing that you can spend your day any way you want? Are there creative activities that you do? What passions are you unleashing? Do you take a walk and get outside? Do you make art? Do you listen to music? Do you spend your days with children and family? What gives you a sense of meaning in life? Your life has always had meaning, but now you're doing something that allows you to share that meaning with others. Maybe it's through your relationships. Maybe it's through your work. Maybe it's through a business. What is that for you? What is the meaningful endeavor that you are doing 2 years from now? Just take a moment to think what that is. Maybe it's coaching. Maybe it's something else. And that's okay. But what is the thing that you get paid to do that you love, that actually gives you energy instead of taking your energy? What is that thing? And if you are coaching others, who are you working with? What kind of problems are you helping people solve? What messages of support and gratitude and thanks are you getting from your clients? Where do you work with them? Are you location independent? Do you have your own practice? Are you blending coaching with other things? What do you enjoy most about your work? And knowing that you've created this, knowing that the person that you're seeing in this visualization is you, we get to tap into that wisdom of your future self. So I want you to imagine that you can really see this future version of yourself. Have a good look. Do they look like you, or do they look different? Do they look even better? What are they wearing? How do they carry themselves? Are they smiling? Are they laughing? Are they standing tall and proud with everything they've achieved? And I want you to go and talk to this person, this version of yourself, and ask them the following things. Ask them to share their secrets and their wisdom with you. So the first question to ask is, what do you love most about your life now? I can see that things are different, but what's so great about this version of life? What do I love most about my life now? And ask them, why is it that you have been able to create this in just 2 years? What did you do differently? What do you have to change? What did you have to choose and say yes to? And just as importantly, what did you have to stop doing? What did you have to say no to? What's the answer? Take a moment to really listen. What did you change? What was the thing that you changed that allowed this to be possible? Hear that answer. Maybe you can just feel the answer. And ask, is there anything else that this future version of you would like you to know that's going to help you get to your vision even faster? And as you listen to that answer, you smile, because it's time to take that answer back with you to the present. So what you take another deep breath in through your nose and hold your breath for a moment and release out through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose, breathing in the wisdom that you've gained, and release out through your mouth. And one last time, breathing in deeply, getting ready to feel relaxed and present in this room again. And as you breathe out, know that you can take that wisdom with you. That vision is a blueprint. You can change it in any way that you want, but it's a start. It's a North Star. It's a guiding point to allow you to move forward so that 2 years from now, your life is very different and even better than it is today.
Wow. Thank you for that, Kira. Everybody go ahead and throw in the comments how amazing that was for them, what kind of experience they had. Really looking forward to being able to guide other people through experiences like that. Thank you so much, Kira. So we are just out of time, everybody. We've got the call links in the chat. You'll be getting that in email. If you are very interested in getting your questions answered right now and you don't want to wait, 4, 5, 6 days for us to have call slots available with our alignment coaches, then make sure to jump into that link right now. Go to the Zoom room. If they're all busy, they should let you know in there. So very excited to see anyone here that really feels like this is their calling and that they're meant to be in this program, in this cohort with Kira and myself. Definitely make sure to get in that live Zoom room right now, because that's the easiest way to reserve a spot before we fill up. And I will see you in the cohort. Thank you so much, Kira. Any parting words you'd like to give them?
Just that I find coaching is such a gift. If you're someone who knows that you have a gift to serve, then really think about if this is the way that you could do it. And what I love about coaching is that it actually gives me energy. So if you're someone who maybe has found other types of working in service that can be draining, know that it doesn't have to be that way. When you're doing it the right way for you, your work can actually give you energy. That's what makes it sustainable. That's what makes you very successful. So if you feel called, think very carefully about why that is. And I'd love to see you in the program.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you everybody for attending. We're going to leave the room open for just another 10 minutes or so, but we'll jump off and I'll see you in the cohort in September. Thanks, everybody.